Hello, welcome to another episode of a Melanated Hypothesis podcast with your girl, the compassion coach, Tori V. And it's Friday, so you know what that means. We have another dope guest with a dope perspective. I'm so excited, Cassandra. Okay, can you introduce who you are and what you do to the collective?
Sure. My name is Kassandra Malbury. I am a licensed clinical social worker out of Connecticut. I have a private practice. Um, and as well as I'm the owner of the name of the private practice is called ACT Services. I also have a second business called Inner Peace. And Inner Peace started because of the gap that I noticed in services. People would call, but not fully ready to commit to individual therapy, but they still wanted to do the work by themselves. So I created these journals to help them along the journey. It's a complement to therapy, but it doesn't supplement therapy. Yep.
I
Oh,
love that.
as well as a yoga instructor. Forgot about that as well. So yeah.
Okay, so I just want to, because I know a lot of times we talk about what we do, but who are we? That's something that I've really been getting into lately. Like
Yes.
who am I?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So a little side note, right? So I do believe like as an entrepreneur, especially early on, our identity, personal identity begins to mesh with our business because we have to put so much in on the foundation groundwork part. So me as an individual person, I am caring, loving, family oriented person, creative, silly, loving, curious individual, um, active in the community, um, no sense of direction, but I like to call that traveling. I get lost and I just learn new things. So, yeah. Yeah.
You sound like a seeker, like me. Yes,
Oh, okay.
okay.
Turn up.
I mean, I don't know. I call that a seeker just because I'm curious all the time. Like if curiosity killed the cat, like I almost got killed a few times. Like, it's just not a couple, but a few times. So I really, one, I feel protected in whatever I am.
Mhm.
I am protected is part of what I am. But the other thing is that I can't pinpoint, because in 10 minutes I'm gonna be, I might be in a completely different I'm a completely different person. And so I love that, just being able to be open and be, just knowing that like at the core of me or at the core of you, you're kind. Like that, those are the things that I have been just like journaling about lately. Like at the core, what am I? Because on the surface, I'm a whole lot of stuff. It depends on,
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. Mm.
oh goodness. But I love that you said that inner between space between getting the actual therapy and knowing that okay, you got some stuff that you need to figure out. You
Mhm.
started your journals. So
Mhm.
tell me more. Okay, so I know you have a mindful journal, and
Yep.
then
Yep. So there's two. One is this is the mindfulness journal, and I don't think I have the other one around. Um, the second journal is about love. So it asks you questions, 30 questions in particular, every single day, to help you reflect on how you love yourself, how you love others, and how you receive love. So yeah, yeah. I'm really proud of that because I sent the manuscript to a couple of friends to look through. And they all were like blown away. And they were like, oh, this is deep. Like you need to have a group with this. Like this is deep, girl. You can't just be sending this to everybody. And so I love to. So last year I did a lot of vending. And so I would ask people to actually flip through the journal and give me some feedback as well. And so they loved the questions. So yeah.
I love that. I think that is so important. And then
Yeah.
it kind of primes you into moving into self-awareness and asking yourself questions. So
Yeah.
oh, that's so needed.
Yeah. Yeah. And let me clarify because I think a couple of times females will walk up and look through the book and felt like it was about like love in the sense of with a partner, but it has nothing to do with that. Like it's your relationship with love, not your relationship with other people that you love or should have loved you or things like that. And it does bring up a lot of questions. Sometimes it could be sadness, but it's that awareness. And if you ask me, it could be empowering. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that connection with self. Okay, so let's talk about that. So what do you define as love?
That's a hard question. So I love to read. That's on my list of who am I. A reader. But I'm one of the readers that I don't finish every book. And so one of the books that I have not finished is it's by Bell Hooks. It's about love as well. I love her definition of love, but I cannot recall the actual version. Oh, oh, that's being in love. I think it's loving something. Dang. My definition of love on purpose. That's one of the questions in the journal. I don't want to define love for someone else. That's a hard question. Um, that's a hard question. I don't think I have an answer for it.
What is the idea that you have when you hear love? What comes to mind?
I d- it's a connection, almost as if a relationship, um, a bond where you can love, well, you can appreciate, connect with something for what it is, as compared to what you need it to be or what it can offer you.
No, I love that. Um, Accepting things for what it is. That's a so okay. When I think about love, I used to have these long romanticized like
Oh,
love is when I tell you to put your seatbelt on, and like just I had a whole bunch of, now I just say it's a verb. It's
ah,
what you do. you know and so what you do is like what you said, being able to accept something just as it is, not trying to change it, morph it to what you want it to be. Like
mm,
all of that to me is love, and it just falls under it being what you do, like what you do to yourself. Like when I talk about self-love, like, but what am I actually doing? Like am I actually doing the work? Or I have self-love Mondays because I don't know what
mm.
I be doing on Sundays, but self-love Mondays. So so I go get like waxes and get my nails done. You see, yeah, I'm out here struggling right now, but
It's not Monday yet. That's why.
okay, you see, she get it. But I go out here and I have to do something, and I'm like, okay, it's what you do. When I get up and I do my journaling, it's what you do. So I'm always telling myself, like, do you love yourself? You just saying it is not enough, but me showing it to myself and creating that connection with myself is
Mhm,
literally what I do or don't do.
mhm. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so I'm really excited because all right, so we met at Black Equity Con.
Yes.
And that so I want to know, okay, one of the things you were telling me is that you met a lot of other therapists. And so I wanted to know how that connection was, you meeting other Black therapists. Is that typical, and like what your experience has been?
So my connections. So unfortunately, it's a lot of phone tag that's been going on behind the scenes of me and trying to connect with the other therapists that I met at Black Equity Con, which was amazing. And I definitely plan on going next year. And I'm going to drag tons of people with me. If you've never been, you definitely need to go. The fellowship was amazing. Nothing but Black excellence, you know? So I think it was beautiful to see uh, this conference talk about mental health when it comes to entrepreneurship. Um, because there's some red flags that we entrepreneurs will do, but it kind of mimics like symptoms of like, mental health or it could spiral. It could be a symptom or outcome. And what I mean by that is like, this grind mode.
Mm.
Nothing wrong with it. I do believe that there's seasons, right? And so sometimes that can contribute to like burnout, poor self-care, poor boundaries, and things like that, which can contribute to symptoms. Like I said, it could spiral into other things. So it's just beautiful to have panels talk about mental health. That was amazing. And to have us in like the seats, amazing. I think it's great that everyone is talking about it, normalizing it, that it's all good, and let's create some balance. So that was great to see. So, Connecticut. Connecticut, when it comes to therapists, is actually amazing. I don't know about any other state, but our Black clinicians out here in Connecticut, we popping, okay? So, first of all, let me just say, before the pandemic, we were active. Like we would get together, we would meet. I could tell you who has openings, what's their specialty, their personality. Unfortunately, because of the pandemic, first we're all pretty full. There's a huge wait list. And unfortunately, the wait list constantly is rotating. So I don't know who's who. It's a lot of new clinicians that's here as well that graduated, which is amazing. Woo, woo. So I'm not really familiar, but we are trying to get more of us together and connect. And actually, our Facebook group is extremely active as well. So I may not be able to see you girls all the time and the guys because we have some Black men out here, great therapists as well. And it's an amazing circle of women and men. So yeah.
Has it, so I know you said it's always been that way. Is it a large group in Connecticut or is it?
Relative. Wait, where are you?
I'm in DC.
Oh, I can imagine though. Y'all probably got a bigger population than us of Black clinicians that are active. Actually, no, my mentor is in Virginia. He has 2 practices out there, DMV area.
Mm.
Large. Uh Large enough that we have our own Facebook group. There is a well just a general clinicians group of Connecticut, very active, and we have our own persons of color Facebook group
Okay.
active. So maybe about 100 of us, and that is so. There's different regions as
Mm.
well. So where I'm at, like the central region, a little bit closer to Boston as compared to like New York, I feel like we're pretty active. The ones down, it's called Fairfield County and whatnot, maybe other places. I'm not sure. They're semi-active, but yeah.
No, that's awesome. I don't know where they are in the DMV area, but like, I mean, somebody's getting them. I guess it's a waiting list or something.
Mhm.
But I've always had to go to North Carolina to find,
Really?
yeah, Black therapists, and even that it was hard. So when I found one, I was like holding on to it tight, like
Mhm.
just
Mhm.
you know.
Mhm.
But I've had some up here, but again, it's like if like never let a freshman take your spot. You seen 11 basketball, like don't leave because
Yeah.
you don't just get back in, like
Yeah.
so
Fortunate.
that's been a challenge here. So I'm always excited to see where there's other Black therapists or melanated therapists that are in other states, and it's like, okay, yeah, because like this makes a difference in that first timer who needs to come and they want
Yep.
to see somebody that looks like them. And like
Yep.
you said, the pandemic kind of magnified mental health.
Yep. Yep.
So can you
It's
talk about that? Oh, sorry.
Sure. Yes. I would love to talk about that. Let me also share too a little story. So when I first got into practice, I was really surprised because I started to get a lot of phone calls from um, melanated Black people, and at one point they were real hesitant to like figure out what my nationality was. So side note, Psychology Today, Therapy for Black Girls are directories where you can find a therapist. There's pictures up there. I know that there's other directories. I'm just not as active and aware of the other ones, but I know they're out there. So they could see up there, but I think they were also trying to figure out. And for me, I just felt a little bit uncomfortable, like, oh, is that a good thing? But as I began to see my people, I realized it is extremely important to have representation, and it is not a bad thing. So this is to anyone that's seeking services. It is not a bad thing to seek out a particular type of therapist that you need and or want. It's also great if that person specializes in what you need assistance with. But there is research coming out showing that it's not about the modality that a clinician uses, it's more so about the therapeutic process. So when I do a phone screening with someone, I ask questions, but I also encourage them to ask me questions so they can see my personality and figure out, okay, is this going to be a good mesh? Because that's going to make the difference. Because if you don't like me, you're not going to tell me things that may be important to the piece of how I can better support you. So yeah, yeah. And going back to your original question, basically, how has it been since the pandemic, right? As a clinician, or just more so the practice?
Um, I guess kind of both. Like, what has the difference been, or what have you seen um since the pandemic? Like, what has changed and how?
Okay. So, before the pandemic, first of all, I am not an online person. I prefer in person. I feel like I never translate well online, or even social media as I do my marketing, but I like in person. So I really struggled with that. Before the pandemic, majority of my clientele was Black or Latino and women. And so I'm also by Central College in Connecticut. So I had a nice chunk of college students, and I still do. Um, then during the pandemic, I started to get more phone calls from Black men. Never really worked that much with Black men. When I had full-time jobs, in the juvenile justice, I worked with males in home services as well. I worked in a behavioral high school as well. So I worked with males, but never private practice. So that was an interesting shift. And so I have so much compassion toward Black men. There is such a need. I'm not knowledgeable to speak that much on it, to like go to panels and things like that, but I love the conversation that's being had around the need for therapy for Black men and what that looks like. Because the mental health for Black men, I think, look totally different as compared to women. So the men in my practice, they're professionals in various different fields. Um, they're majority depression, but it presented as sometimes on edge, sometimes a little bit anxiety, just lackluster. And these are men who are married, doing amazing things, great husbands, great fathers, but it wasn't much. They didn't necessarily know who they were or what they desired and things like that. So a little bit of like identity. Their identity was wrapped in like their responsibilities and their stereotypical society roles. So just that quest for happiness and trying to be a little bit more present in life for what they wanted. So that was a shift. And currently, I'm still online. And if a client wants to be in person, I have a small amount of clients that I do meet in person. So that's been like the most major shift. Yeah.
Mhm.
Personally, during that time period, I also struggled because I wanted to help everyone. I'm going through a pandemic just like everybody else, trying to figure out what I'm going to do for my health, as well as be responsible and make sure that I'm creating a space that's safe for everybody else as well. So that was a transition. Um, so I actually had to create boundaries for myself as well as self care. I've changed hours. Um, some of my clients not too happy with that, but I had to take care of myself. Change days that I work as well. So different shifts for me. So now I definitely feel like I'm in a balance, um, work-life balance. Yeah. And because when Kassandra is good, I show up amazing for my clients, and I want to continue to be that way. So,
Yes. No, okay, so can you talk a little bit more about that? Because that is definitely something that, I mean, I think personally, this is my hypothesis. I think that the majority of us as people, and especially as melanated people, we're never taught boundaries. Like, we don't even really like understand what that is for real, because we're supposed to be provider, the strong black this and the, you
mhm.
know what I mean? Like, so it's kind of, or just think, I think about, I know people that 14 people grew up in a two-bedroom. Like, what kind of boundaries can you have? What kind of boundaries? And so when we really like look into that and really think about, like, this is how we're, a lot of us, is this is a general statement, but it's not everyone, but a lot of us were like, I didn't have 14 people in my house, but we had a two-bedroom, and it was me and my little brother. Like, so we still had to share that room. It was still, we had a little bit of boundaries. This was my side, I guess, but so many people are making pallets on the ground, or food come up missing. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's so many dynamics to boundaries. So can you explain and just kind of expand on um making boundaries for yourself and what that process looks like?
Yeah. So if I can go back to the person that you said 14 people in a two-bedroom. I think that they can do boundaries. I do, right? And it may look different, right? Um, so whether there's a routine and rotation of space or whatever, so I'm gonna use a space to study for 2 hours from 2 to 4, and you're gonna use it from 4 to 6, whatever it may be, that open dialogue and question. So what I have noticed, totally forgot too. So early on in my profession, private practice in particular, I had a lot of caregivers, primary caregivers of like parents and siblings and things like that. And it was extremely hard for individuals to create boundaries because there was generational habits as well as guilt statements. So I have to normalize for my clients. The moment that you start to put these boundaries up, people are going to test your limits. It's going to be hard to set boundaries. Um, they're going to say whatever to get you to think, second guess yourself, and give in to the boundaries. Give into the boundaries that you're setting. Um, when I usually do it, I encourage someone to kind of sit down and think about their values as well as what they truly want. So forget about grandma for a minute. What do you want? What degree do you want? Because when all said and done, last time I checked, you're gonna be the one paying for school. So it's okay if you don't want to be that doctor. So maybe you want to be a teacher. So let's figure out if that's truly what you want. And then let's spend a little bit of time, not too much time, going over grandma's habits and sayings, and let's create some assertive statements, I feel statements, um, or just healthier responses to her habits that she may say or do to pressure you to do that doctorate degree. Um, and so it is hard at times, and it's a process. Let's see. You asked about me. So for me, I had to figure out what do I ultimately want, right? Um, and there's something that there's a personal lifestyle that I want to create. So because of that, I do need to shift some things in my business, and I need to free up time. There was a point where I thought I wanted a group practice. That's not my personal, it doesn't align with my personal lifestyle. Once again, me going back to what I want, what are my values. I like it just being me. Um, so I then had to figure out, so the time in the day thing was a little bit of a challenge. I sat on that for about a year. Yes, I had to think about my target market, but once again, I had to think about myself, my personal values, and what I wanted. Um, and so I figured out a plan that was comfortable for the both of us. It's a transition. So because I am close to the college, a lot of my clients are used to me changing my hours in the summertime to adjust with my college students. They're going to change classes. So, okay, we'll have summer hours and then fall hours. So that's how that transition is going. And okay, so far. Okay, so far. Yeah. And I'm giving time for people to work through discharges, which is hard. I've had some clients, we've developed a long therapeutic relationship.
And so some of them aren't going with you in this new direction, basically.
Um Naturally, yes, but discharge is good. I like to see discharge. Because my belief is usually when you come in, you have somewhat of a hardcore, not hardcore, but like you have a goal in mind. So when we create a treatment plan, I'm going to verbalize it to a way where it's a SMART goal. So we know that you've reached it. I feel that when you're in therapy, whatever you came in for, right? More than likely, those skills you can apply in different parts in your life. There's always going to be bumps in the road. So you don't necessarily always need to be in therapy every single week. I'm in therapy myself. There's moments where I've been in and out of therapy for various different things. I know if there's an upcoming stressor, okay, let's kind of prep and dust up on these skills. So, I'm not too stressed, a preventative measure, just like like the medical concepts, right? So dang, what was your original question? Went up on a tangent. Um,
Um, just basically understanding how you're building the boundaries. Um,
yeah, I had to think about what I wanted and needed for my personal self, so that I don't become resentful, and so I could show up the best Kassandra that I can. Um, and so, like I said, finding somewhat of a balance. And so, our seasonal transition, that's when it's going to happen, and giving people enough notice so we can transition.
yes,
Oh, you asked,
that's what you were
are the
saying.
people coming? So, yes, yes, and no. A lot of people are moving and transitioning. So just naturally, um, I don't pressure anyone to see me every week, every day. I mean, not every day, every week, or every other week. Some people I do see like once a month, and then I'm okay with that. But I do reflect every so often. Will nudge people like, okay, I think you're doing good with these skills. Let's jump down to frequency, just to make space for people and just to challenge people on their skills. I don't want anyone to become dependent on me, codependent. Um, because that's not a healthy therapeutic relationship, which does happen. So, yeah, because ultimately, I'm not going to be in everyone's life, and I want to be able to step away and they can still have those tools. Because for me, it's creating a lifestyle. You're going to make some lifestyle changes. You're going to create some boundaries. You're going to have and implement healthier support systems, and maybe create some boundary around or let go of some unhealthy support systems. So, yeah.
No, that's big. That's really big. One of the things I was just thinking, how does it make you feel to when you're, discharging, when people are moving on? How do you feel about it?
I feel sad. I'm human. So I feel sad and happy. So happy that this person has made this decision, and wants to like move on, create space so that they can use the tools more frequently. So yeah, and sad because that is a relationship. Yes, I have boundaries and it's a therapeutic relationship, but it's also someone that I've been with for years and I
Yeah.
watch them grow. Um, yeah. So yeah.
No,
But
that's interesting. I've always had like I've been in therapy on and off since I was 7. I didn't even know that it was therapy when I was 7. My mom, they used to come to your house when I was 7. So I just thought this lady would come, we would just chop it up and she would leave. Like I never knew. Like my mom was like, "Oh yeah, that was a therapist." Like what? Like she was cool.
mhm,
Like had no idea. Okay. And then I started going into like the clinics and that was a different experience. And then sometime it was like uh I don't know. I don't know what was really going on, but I feel like it was just kind of like a residency type of thing. So every so often therapists would rotate. So I never even had the chance to get codependent with the therapist, but I had already had the codependent trait in my personality. Um, so I got codependent on things like food and being smart. I was codependent on somebody saying, "Oh, you know that," or like
mhm,
just little stuff that you don't even realize. And it took, I mean, it's something I'm dealing with every day, but it gets easier, I think, with knowing that I've been intentionally living all this
mhm,
time now.
mhm,
But like hearing your side is like, oh, now I'm seeing the other side, like the therapist side of how they may have felt. We've been in this relationship and I'm happy to come see them once a week and then now they have to leave. And so not only are they leaving me or, something happened that we depart or, you know, discharge or whatever the case. I've had like the EAP where we got
mhm.
6 sessions or something.
Yep, yep,
And then, but now we have a little bond. I'm trying to space the 6 session out.
yep,
like,
yep, 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 yep.
like, like I like you. Just these
Mhm,
little things people go through. Uh if the person how do you encourage the person not to fall back once you're not there?
mhm. So, from the beginning, we talk about discharge. What does it look like? How will you know that you've reached it? And then for my clients, I've created a one pager discharge sheet. At the top, it just says, "What's your why? Why are we working together?" The second one are your symptoms. The third are your triggers. And the fourth is like your wellness plan. I actually title it wellness plan, but wellness is like what are you doing on a daily, weekly, monthly, annual basis to make sure your mental well being is well, good, tip top shape. So every so often we will review it, we'll add it so they know. I'm constantly highlighting the things in which they do. So I'm a therapist that gives homework, and I think that may be the thing that helps my clients. So we'll talk. Let me back up for a minute. So a lot of times people will also say, um, a therapist can't tell me something that I don't already know. Okay, you're right. You're right. I just have tools. You have all the answers. I'm gonna meet with you, hold you accountable, because you're being with me because you want to make change. Okay, so let's do that and let's work through that. So, so I give homework. So we're gonna talk. Yes, you convince. I'm gonna introduce a skill, reinforce a skill. We're gonna role play a little bit, and then I'm gonna ask you, what's your homework? What are you willing to commit to between now and the next time that we meet? Usually, it kind of depends. Sometimes I'll throw out something from what they said and knowing like their treatment plan, or they'll throw out something. And if they throw out something that's not necessarily therapeutic, I'll make it therapeutic. We're not too far off, but I want to make sure. And in particular, I use the word commit. What are you willing to commit to? And so we just build upon that. I got a treatment plan. Every so often, we're going to review the treatment plan. How's this progress? Right? You're going to identify your goals and your action steps. I'm going to reframe it and make it therapeutic, but it's how you're going to hold me accountable to helping you reach those goals. So, uh, dang, I should have question again. Why I keep doing? Just keep talking and talking.
No, that means it's good. It's a flow.
Yes. Oh, discharge. So yeah, so I use that one pager, I use homework, and that kind of preps them, and we're constantly always talking about discharge. So majority of the time I do see people weekly. And then when I notice like, oh, okay, you hitting your markers. What's your thoughts about biweekly? I don't know. And we work towards that. Biweekly. Oh, you hitting your markers, you reaching your goals. Okay, what else? What about monthly? Okay, all right. And a couple of clients I see maybe like quarterly. We'll do a quick little check-in and whatnot, brush up on things. So, yeah. Usually those are individuals who some milestones, holidays, lost dates, lost birthdays, things like that, to kind of prep and provide that support during that time. So it's constantly talking about discharge. It could be a triggering word, yes, because some people could feel like abandoned, like
I must say, yeah.
we build this therapeutic relationship and now you're gonna leave me.
Yeah. What
Yeah,
about
because
me?
because my hopes is that you're gonna make these changes in your life, and I'm gonna back up.
Yeah. It's so I was speaking to another therapist and she was saying it's kind of like you're walking and I'm behind you and I'm guiding you. And I was like, the visual, exactly.
Mhm.
Like, and if you think about that, it's like you keep walking and therapist just makes their distance a little bit more, then they
Mhm.
just kind of peace out, but not in a like they left you kind of way, but you got this. Like you doing good, my baby. Look at my baby. Like,
Yes. Yeah.
and I'm here if you need me, but I'm not, I've been
Mhm.
walking all day. I'm finna sit down and you keep going. Like it's definitely
Exactly.
that kind of vibe. But if you call grandma, she gonna pick up. Like it's it's one of those type of situations that I visualize. So as you're saying that, I'm like, that makes a lot of sense. I never had a therapist explain it to me up front. We was just, why you're here, you're here for something. I've had very abrasive there. I've had a lot of interesting interesting experiences.
I'm glad that you keep going. I'm glad that you keep going to find the one that's right for you. It took me a while as well to find the right one. I always encourage people that to like, if I'm not your cup of tea, it's okay. Tell me. I love feedback, and I'm gonna try my best to go inside my directory and point you in the right direction of what you're looking for, and or maybe give you the vocabulary so that when you call around and you're screening the therapist, you'll know what you're looking for. You can say certain things. I can try my best. Um, yeah,
Do you
therapy.
have a specialty?
Um, so in general, in the beginning, it was just anxiety, depression, PTSD, panic disorders. But now I'm gearing more toward entrepreneurs when it comes to preventing burnout. So helping them to establish healthier self-care habits, work-life balance. So included in that could be, if we're talking about diagnosis, anxiety, depression, or things like that. It could also be mood disorders. Hmm. Yeah.
What give an example of a mood disorder.
You mean like bipolar?
Like bipolar? Okay.
Mhm, mhm.
Um, no, because I really love to study just mental health in general. But it started and still is the case because I'm studying me. Like I always want to know what's wrong with me, and I pull up to the therapist because at this point I'm a pro now. I've been in therapy since I'm 7, so I come with my list. I'm like, hey, how you doing? Yes, I'm here for these. You got time today, or did you want to talk about this later? Next session, okay. Like I already know what to do, and so I start coaching the therapist in the coaching session because I'm like, oh, a person who doesn't know therapy is not going to like how you're doing that. Or maybe you should have a worksheet so that you don't have to like belittle me because I don't know exactly.
You
So
do that.
I do that. And my coach, and it's not like a bad, like I'm trying to talk, but it's me trying to show in the moment what I see because I don't want you to like.
So I'm sorry, my facial expression was more so of I'm thinking about our ethics that we hold, right? I think that feedback is great for her. But if I can encourage you, if you find yourself in that space, it may be time. I don't know how you feel about this for another little nudge of somebody that's going to fit, right? Because it kind of sounds like a part of you is taking care of this person as compared to you being supported.
Okay, explain that. What do you mean?
Um,
No, it's
um, so hold on. How often are you doing this? Like, cause you use the word coaching too, right? Coaching and feedback is different. You get a little feedback here and there, all right, but coaching her, I would be a little bit concerned.
yeah. I mean, I don't know if coaching. We with my last therapist, she would tell me like this is the best part of her day. She can't wait to come talk to me, and we would literally just sit and talk about the business aspect of therapy. So it to me it felt like coaching because that's something that I'm interested in. But it wasn't like a yeah, you come here, you got 60 minutes. Like it wasn't like I was trying to,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It wasn't like I was just having a conversation with her and I would tell her things like she would tell me things like the code of ethics, she can't work for anybody else, or these type of
Yeah.
things. She can't come on the podcast because she doesn't work for herself. But then she would also tell me things like she can't pass this particular thing so that she can work for herself. So she has to stay in this area. And then she would tell me stuff like it's easy to get your degree. And it would be like, well, these are the reasons why we struggle. And she eventually told me I need to go to a therapist that is for therapists. But I just felt like it was because she wasn't well studied. And so when we had conversations, um, I would bring up things and that maybe she kind of skipped past, or, she didn't know as much in that area. And so it would feel like, well, I can do this by myself if I'm the one, if I'm coming to you and you don't even know this thing, and then you're pushing me off to other people. But in the meantime of that relationship kind of developing into that, we were talking about like, a podcast where you and another therapist, y'all have a therapist. I had a name for it and everything. Or I would be like, when I first got her, I got her the week of December 12th, and I had my daughter was stillborn. So it was just like it happened where I had her on Saturday. The Tuesday they set me up with therapy. I was already like looking for a therapist. And so Tuesday she called and was like, "Hey, I'm your new therapist." And I was just like, oh, "Okay, cool. Let's set up an appointment and everything." So we set up an appointment that week. And I told her what was going on. And then the next week it was like, okay, my baby just passed away. So I don't really know what I'm trying to say. So I wasn't myself as in coming to the therapy session knowing that this is the thing that I have to talk about. Like I'm good when big things happen. So I usually am the type of person that can say something. But that second session, she was like, "Well, you don't talk." She was like, she was like, "If you don't talk, I can't help you, and you don't say anything." And I'm just like, "Ooh, the sensitivity!" Like, there's no compassion. So things like that, I would tell her like if somebody just like you got to be able to read the room, baby. Like if somebody just had this experience, I think we stopped talking like that because the year later I took baskets up to the hospital, and she called on the day that I was walking out, and so I was just kind of like, you know, kind of iffy, and she was like, "Hello, hello," like so I just hung up and just like I can't deal with you. I can't even
Mm-hmm.
articulate why
Mm-hmm.
I can't deal with you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So in those instances, it was like I want to say coaching, but it was feedback coaching, not really like hardcore coaching, like a soft coaching. I don't know.
Well, we in the field, we have some ethics, and it does sound like she was definitely teetering on crossing some of the ethics. I'm glad that you were able to recognize how uncomfortable it was for you. First of all, sorry for your loss. My condolences to you, and thank you for sharing that with me.
Thank
Um,
you.
I think it's all the more reason why. it's important to screen your therapist, not just to you, just to whoever's watching. Please screen your therapist. You can ask questions. You're about to spend time, money, whether you pay or don't pay. It doesn't matter. Someone is getting paid. If you do not like this person, you don't have to. You don't have to. And let me tell you too, you could sit in your sessions in silence. She was uncomfortable with silence. Maybe you needed somebody to just sit in the room with you with all your thoughts. You didn't have to talk.
Yeah.
So
So that
yeah.
no, that's what I'm saying. Like the reason why I call it fixing crowns. But some people think I'm very judgy. I don't I don't think that. I think in order for us to fix a problem, we have to be aware of it. And so I'm not judging, but I'm not gonna act like I don't see it either. So
Hmm.
I get a lot of people that are like either they love me or they do not like me, and I'm fine with that. I've come to terms with that. That's fine because at the end of the day, I just want people to be the best them, and in order for
Hmm.
me to be the best me, I need somebody to be able to kind of show me the frame. If I'm the picture can't see the frame all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
It also sounded like she was you needed more, and like she wasn't practicing in her scope. Nothing, not, and I don't mean that in the wrong way, but like what you needed, that wasn't within her scope. And so I think that's why, yeah, she referred you out to someone
yeah,
else. Probably wasn't
yeah,
the best thing for you.
yeah. My thing is I think I kind of put my experiences down a little bit because I'm thinking about the person that's going to come after me. Like I know that I've been through a lot. I can handle stuff. I like to understand stuff. So even in your wildest moments, I can figure out, oh, they did this because, I'm
Hmm.
always looking to connect the dots with people's actions about the thoughts. They didn't just act like that. They were thinking something. So,
Hmm.
I'm always looking at it that way for the most part. Like I'm human too. I turn up, but like for the most part, I'm looking like, oh, okay, it's something going on there.
Hmm.
But if I'm thinking that and I just decide to mind my own business, then somebody else who lost their baby, who is very fragile in this moment, is going to hit that, get that same treatment, and they're not going to be able to handle it in the same way that I am. So I'm always thinking about like if I don't fix it now, like if who not me. I think that's my
Hmm.
thing.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, that's great that you were able to give her that feedback. Hopefully, she received it and made some adjustments.
Is that something that is a like how do you handle what is the proper procedure for if you need to
You say it. Or, you know what? Once again, every so often I check in with my clients. We're at a good pace. These still the same goals? What can I do better? What can I ease up on? But majority of the time, though, I'm picking up on body language. So I've been with my clients for a while, so I kind of know the little tweaks here and there, and I'll be a little quiet, and I'll just, okay, what you thinking? Okay. And so there have been instances where I give homework, and they'd be like, okay, and Kassandra, I don't want to do that. Okay, great. Thank you. Great. Fine. You don't want to do that. You don't got to. This is all about commitment. So, what do you want to do? It really is. What do you want to do? Because I'm going to support you towards that if it's healthy, right? So, yeah. Yeah. And speaking of, because I think you said, wow, my clinicians have never said that to me. I've also noticed early on in my practice that a lot of my clients, Latino and Black, weren't aware that they were being diagnosed. So I actually created cheat sheets on on the criteria. Because the other thing I think people don't recognize is after one session, the first session, which is the intake, I'm supposed to diagnose you. If you ask me, I don't know you that well from this one session. It's probably not a lot of self awareness for you to give me what I need. I can ask certain questions, yes, to diagnose and screen. I get it. I get it. But these diagnoses, they may mean a lot. So, what I do is I give cheat sheets. Their first homework is that read through what I think I'm hearing. And I want you to come back and tell me no, that's not it. That's not it. That's not it. Right. And then let's talk some more about it. And now I'm going to educate you on what diagnosis, because it's going to be a co thing. We're both going to agree this is the diagnosis because you fit it, because this is the criteria. I want you to be educated on it, because when you go to another therapist or you go to a medical provider or a psychiatrist and they start throwing around these other things, you can say, no, 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 no. I meet this criteria because of this, 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 this. I've already talked about that with my therapist. So a lot of my clients appreciate that. We constantly talk about diagnosed reasons, and I encourage. It's called. I encourage them to open up their EOBs, explanation of benefits, so that they see what's billing. It could be insurance can be really confusing, but yeah.
No, I commend you on that. Like that is amazing because not often do you find providers that will actually teach you. They, a lot of times you find providers and they act like judges. Like, no, I can't give you any legal advice. Like it's
Well, you say that too.
it's like it's like okay, but I don't understand. And like when you said that, I just my stomach fluttered because it's like, no, she's teaching them like that is like how else do people learn but to go expose get the exposure, but in the exposure be exposed to what's happening.
Hmm.
Because I think about again, I think about having my baby and I was in Virginia, so I went to a nice hospital and they took great care of me and all. Okay, kind of, but like they were decent. And but all of my doctors were black.
Hmm.
And if I would have went to the hood, all of my doctors would have been brown. They would have been Indian or something. They wouldn't have been black. And so these black women, they were teaching me like, hey, if somebody give
Hmm.
you a cup, you need to ask them, what is this? Like they just handing you a medicine, or if they're telling you this. And I'm like, I don't even know. I'm half here right now. Like, so for you to take the time to come in and talk to me and teach me that I should be asking questions around this thing. And like, we're just taught to respect authority. But the thing is, as melanin people, we're the only race that's really taught to just blatantly just go with what the people said. The people go. I don't know. I heard a quote the other day, and he was like, um, as black people will say, you going to the dentist, don't ask them no questions, let them do what they gotta do, and then you get out of there. But other races are taught the dentist is your friend. You go in there, you have any questions, ask them questions. They went to school for 16 years so that they could serve you. And it creates this completely different view where now you grow up and you grow up and you're like you're learning how to kind of make yourself lower in a sense when you don't ask these questions, and then you get into these situations where it's like now you need to ask questions, you don't even realize that there are questions to be asked.
Hmm.
So I just commend you for just
Hmm.
yeah.
It's okay. As you
Sorry.
should. As you should. And I guess that goes back to that curious piece that we both have. Like I'm that friend when we go out to eat, I'm asking a million questions. Whenever we go somewhere, I'm asking a million questions. Yes, I want to know. So it's amazing that you were able to have those women around you during that time and help educate you. Because I think, yeah, the doctors, they go to school. Me, a therapist, I go to school, but like you know yourself. And if I can educate you on the tools and the skills, you're gonna take care of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Take care of yourself. And that goes to IFS. So I'm a level 2 trained IFS therapist, and that type of therapy. So internal family systems is what IFS stands for. So basically, you have several different parts of you. So let's just say, um, it's a part of me that loves you, and it's a part of me that's just wants to shake it crazy because you never listen, whatever. Those are different parts, right? And the therapist is going to give you tools so that if we said that those are three different parts, the love, shake you crazy, and whatever this is, right? Then you're going to have tools to like, um, for like they'll call this like your family. This is your internal family. These three parts. There's more parts that we all carry, but that's what IFS is. And at first, I thought IFS was a little bit. It was. It's not like talk therapy. It is not. It is different, and I love it because it empowers the clients. A lot of the work is you. There are times within the IFS process that you could be sitting quietly in the therapist's office and you could be doing the inner work. IFS sometimes can be geared toward trauma. I don't know if you're familiar with EMDR.
Yeah.
That's geared toward trauma as well. And so IFS and EMDR sometimes go together, or a therapist will be trained in both and whatnot. But it's to EMDR, I think.
Can you tell people what that means? I don't know. You
Hold
said,
on. Hold on. Let me look it up because I know it's something with eye movement,
yeah.
something. It's something eye
Right.
movement. Yes, yes. And great outcomes I've heard. Some people not necessarily not good outcomes, but it just sits a little bit different. And I
Yeah.
guess that's where IFS comes in, but they both kind of track the same thing. Um, IFS, you do the inner work. You learn.
So would you say IFS is more holistic, more of a holistic
It
practice
is.
or approach?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And geared towards spirituality. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah. See, okay. That makes me think about so I was talking to a therapist and she said, you can't call yourself a therapist, say you a psychotherapist. And I was like, she said for legal purposes. And I was like, okay, but I'm thinking I don't even necessarily have to be the therapist. I just want to be a holistic mentor, practitioner, friend, or something like.
I think practitioner is okay. And I don't even think legally you could say psychotherapist, I believe. Yes, yes. When I tell you we have ethics, which is a good thing, it protects our patients. I
Yes.
completely understand the type of ethics that we as clinicians have. Yeah.
Yes, I've been studying it, and I'm just like, it's a lot of stuff. And
Hmm.
on one hand, it's like that's cool because we need a code of conduct, but on the other hand, that limits the
Exactly.
actual success
Exactly.
and like really getting in there good.
Exactly.
It's
Exactly.
like you got to kind of step out and do your own thing to really practice, like for a person, like we're all individuals and we have a vision, and your goal is to be this therapist and help these people. You have a vision of what that looks like, and for me to put all these regulations, that's why I stopped going to school. I started going to school for it, and then when I switched into it, I did anthropology, and I was just like, okay, culture, something about the culture, and then I went into psychology, and I was just like, well, let me just do social science. But then I kept getting turned off to school, and so first I'm like, well, maybe it's my discipline, but it's like, no, it's the rules. Like if I really do this thing, I'm not going to be able to practice the way I want to. But do you feel like IFS gives you more freedom to kind of practice the way that you envision?
Hmm. IFS also doesn't. It's an evidence-based practice. They don't believe
Mm.
in pathologizing, diagnoses, and things like that. So I like that.
Yeah.
That kind of steps away because not everyone fits in that, and or it just allows you to just do the work. But because of that, that also then means that you can't use insurance.
Mm.
To use insurance, you have to have a diagnosis.
Okay.
Yeah. So
So that's the workaround that they trying to. Okay, that makes sense. So basically, what we need to do is get some programs together that can fund this thing here, so that we all can come to you and get this.
so first, that was an awful laugh. So first, okay, another ethics, right? As a therapist, you're in Virginia. I can't see you. My license is
Yeah.
only in Connecticut and I have a temporary one in New Jersey. That's it. If you come to visit, sure, and your body is in Connecticut, you could live in Connecticut and go visit in Virginia. We can't have that session.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So those are
Yeah,
those.
my therapist used to say that. Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
She would be like, "Where are you right now?"
Yep. Because and I think people give us a hard time about that. Oh, well, there's nothing. This is my license. This is ethics. This is how we keep everyone safe and people are not practicing all wonky. And each state is a little bit different. I know that there's a movement to like get one universal license. It'd be interesting to see what that looks like. IFS. So I would encourage you, if you still are interested in human behavior and helping people, I would encourage you to look into it. So I do know that there's people that have gone through the program and they're not, I hate to say this on this type of platform, but it's great exposure, but they're not licensed or whatever. And but when they advertise, it's IFS practitioner, not a clinician or a therapist.
Yeah.
But yeah.
No, that's something that I'm interested in because right now I'm certified in emotional intelligence and I just do my own research on everything else, but I'm practicing on myself. Like what is working for me? The things that one of the things that I do is I'm always in my car. But I drive a lot. I do what I call meditation and motion. And I didn't know what ED, I don't know how to say
EDR,
it.
EMDR.
Whatever.
Yeah.
EMDR. I didn't know what that was prior to, like, I don't know when I learned it, but I've been driving on the road since probably like 2018. 2018, I sold my house. So being on the road, living on the road, driving, just waking up in Atlanta and be like, oh, I'm about to go to Texas. Like, just 14-hour drives are normal to me. But what you're doing is essentially this long road. You go down 20, like you're not making, you go up 95, it's no turn. So I'm literally just moving my eyes, eye movement. And that is essentially what that is. And so I was doing the stuff and not realizing I'm doing it. And
Mhm,
then somebody would come later and conceptualize, like, oh, this is such and such, such and
mhm,
such. And
mhm.
so I'm already building the practices just in different ways.
Yep.
So in my head, I feel like, well, I know something. Like I can help too.
You
Like,
do. You do. You do.
but like it's having conversations like this that really make me feel like, okay, no, like you can actually, like you've actually found your own code to these things. Doing the inner work is something that um it's a bunch of different tactics for, like it's a bunch of different ways you can do it. And it's the stuff like you're saying that the ISF. Okay, you didn't explain exactly what it is. I know we talked about childhood, so it's but it, like, okay, I want you to explain what it is for people who don't know. Because you just introduced it to me, so I don't want to act like I knew. But
Like good. IFS, internal family system. So it evidence-based practice, and it's going to help you to do your inner work. Sometimes that could be traumatic experiences, it could be childhood experiences, doesn't necessarily have to be trauma. Um, and so there's different parts. Everyone has parts. All parts are welcome. Sometimes we don't like our parts. We can give them, but they're all there to protect us. Um, we can maybe give them different roles, or we can unburden them if they're from a different generation or passed down to us. Um, Me as a clinician, I'm giving you the tools so that you can manage your family, your parts, your system. Um,
mm-hmm.
the parts either take on an extreme role, which we call exiles, or like the opposite is managers, so like our day to day. And these two parts protect what's called, oh, I'm sorry, I said it wrong. The extreme role is the firefighter, and the other part is the manager. Firefighters are reactive, and the managers, your day to day preventative measures, right? And these two protect us, as well as what's called the exile. The exile is a part that holds our burdens and sometimes trauma. Um, so it's like a upside down triangle. Sometimes you'll see it in books and things like that. It's also a circle that has like a little thing in it as well. Those are some symbols and whatnot that it kind of explains it. So I'm not gonna go too much into details, and hopefully I don't put you on the spot, right? But maybe we can identify some of your parts, or I could talk about my parts. What
Yeah,
feels
that would be cool.
what feels comfortable for you?
I mean, let's heal in real time. Tell me when you talk about the parts, um I envision, so the way I kind of maneuver through life now is I have current Victoria who was talking to you today, and then I have the two mindsets of kind of like the devil and the angel. But I have foundational Victoria, which learned all of my day one stuff. Like she's the one that you got to worry about popping off. Like
Mm-hmm.
she's still here. She's just in the back. She probably
Yeah,
sleep right now.
yeah,
But
yeah. Yeah.
and then I have higher self, which is like the becoming Victoria. Like you know better. You have this information. Are you gonna execute on it, or are you gonna let her win it because she louder? Like so when you're saying that, that's what I'm hearing. Like that's what I'm seeing.
Exactly. That's exactly IFS. You probably would benefit from an IFS clinician to help you. If or not
Mm.
so you can use the tools, but you, like you said, it's real interesting. Naturally, you've created similar systems and similar tools that are to what's in the profession, evidence
Yes.
practices. So that's literally it. And so for me, some of my parts I'm very much so aware of. So there's a part of me, I call her bun lady. She has a bun, she has a suit, she has a clipboard, and she making sure the whole system is working well. She gonna keep everyone on point. She's definitely my manager. There is let's see. There's it's I call it like jelly bean. It's a he. It is called jelly bean. It's like the active part. Like if I had too much coffee, it looks like somebody that has too much coffee, but it's really active. So sometimes it could be because of me drinking coffee. It could be because I'm anxious, but it's just bouncing all over. It's like a little boy just running all around me. Um, I have a part that hovers over me. So if I'm being too vulnerable and I want to shut it down, that part would be like, okay, we done, and take all the parts away. And so I'll just get quiet at times. So yeah, so it's understanding my parts more. And I'm guessing you're probably talking to them when you realize it. And so that's IFS. Yeah. So if I give attention to that jelly bean, and eventually
Yeah.
that slow down just a little bit. And then I get to understand what's his purpose, why you're around, what you need from me. Clipboard. Okay,
Yes.
was she wants something. She's about to order something, ask another part to come out or like do something. What you need from me? Like, she needs my attention. She's trying to tell me. That's IFS.
Oh, it's like okay. Have you seen the movie Split?
I think so. And Inside Out. IFS bought Inside Out. You saw
Oh,
Inside Out?
yeah, Inside Out.
The
Man.
cartoon. No, the
Oh, the
little
cartoon
cartoon.
movie. Yes, yes, yes. I know what you're talking about.
Yep. They bought that.
What? Okay,
Hmm.
no, that makes so much sense. It's literally like that. Split is like a horror-ish type of movie where the dude has a bunch of, but it's like that. When I think about my parts, I think about them being so much of themselves that it's like that's not whatever his name was. That's definitely a little boy.
Hmm.
Like so when I'm talking to little Victoria, sometimes little Victoria is a teenager. So when you break down the parts, like I conceptualize things without any, it just naturally comes to me. But when I like actually do the research, have these conversations, it's like, no, it gets deeper than that. And so you've breaking each part down. So like taking, I just call foundational Victoria, but I'm talking about 6-year-old bratty Victoria. I'm talking about 12-year-old confused Victoria, suicidal 14-year-old Victoria, like whoever, all of them. I just
Yep.
grouped together.
Yep.
And instead you're saying like, nah, break all of them down. Like you got your Sasha Fierce, you
It
got your
it depends, right? It depends on your parts. Who am I to say? Once again, I'm giving you the tools, of vocabulary, and you're going to
mm,
manage all your parts because maybe those parts are grouped together because they hang out together. They two peas in the pods, or they could be
they
yin and yang. I don't know, right? But it's you giving these parts attention because they need it, they want it. They gotta let you know something.
right.
They around, and like sometimes we also, for some people, they may have a depressive part. Sometimes people don't want to identify it as depressive. Like, no, if I give it attention, I'm going to become depressed. Maybe not. Let's see. Can we ask that part not to overwhelm you so that we can just get to know that part? You don't have to be depressed. Let's pull it out of you and let's talk to depressed part and get to know what does it need from you.
Oh my goodness. I just want you to know right here, this finna be a clip. No, because oh my gosh, because when you're talking about that, like So I have this hypothesis that what the pandemic showed me was that when we it amplified what I already could see, is that at nighttime people are more depressed. They turn to more crutches, as I call them. Um, During the pandemic, a lot of people got more depressed. They got more in their head because now I don't have any, there's nothing to do. At nighttime, everything's closed. I got to sit with myself. During the depression, not the depression, Lord. During the pandemic, everything was closed. I had to sit with myself. During the winter months, a lot of people say, oh, I have,
Seasonal depression.
yeah, seasonal depression. And I'm like I see I something's happening, but I don't know if it's because it's colder outside, things are closing earlier and more people have to sit with self, or if it's like a combination of now everything's closed, I have to sit with self, and in December this thing happened, so I get kind of wooed, down during this time, and now I've just kind of accepted that identity as like, oh, December through February, I'm gonna be not myself, y'all. So I'm already priming myself the rest of the
Mhm,
year, telling myself like, "Yep, December through February, y'all, I ain't gonna be myself." Like, and then
mhm,
this other like, side of me comes out during,
mhm,
just like I said,
mhm.
December. And so when you're saying that, I'm like, I don't really know. I have this conversation with people all the time, and I see both sides, but I don't know. So I'm interested to know your perspective. And like, do you am I saying it clear?
Yep. I think that there's different layers. I know that there's a bit of like science behind it. So layers being like in the summertime, people tend to be more active. So if you live alone and you're not as active in the winter, are you isolated? Because that contributes to symptoms of depression. It could be, yes, racing thoughts, rumination, and it's uncomfortable to sit with when you are isolated. That can contribute to mental health as well. Um, Nighttime, I forget the hormone, but there's science and body stuff about like nighttime melatonin and one of the hormones as well that kind of like, slows the body down. That's what it's supposed to do. And that contribute to like that wintertime sadness and or depression. The sun, the science behind that as well. It's not as sunny in the wintertime, depending where you at. I'm in, up here in the boonies in Connecticut. So like it's a little bit, we don't get as much sun in the wintertime. It's a little bit more cloudy. So that contributes to like mood as well. And yes, the how do you describe it? It's almost like how we set ourselves up for like, oh, winter's coming, so this person gonna come out. Is it habit or is it really coming, right? And then I'm a big believer in like placebo effect as well. I don't You saw the documentary Heal?
Yeah.
Yeah. So mhm, mhm.
Okay. No, you see,
Layers.
like this is just like a weird theory hypothesis thing that I have that I question, but I believe everything is connected. So as you're telling me these things, and then even me just during the conversation being like, wait a minute, wait, I never heard of that, but I'll be doing that. Like, and
Mhm,
to see that, okay, we can go levels into it, it just shows me that things are connected. And like sometimes, um, I sometimes I feel like you said, the placebo, I feel like we just like our beliefs can be altered. Like that's one of the things that we have to talk about in therapy is like where our beliefs come from, because we'll believe these things like, you know, February to December or December to February. It's like, don't leave it at me. I'm not gonna
mhm,
be, like I need a Snickers or something. Like it's like
mhm,
we're telling ourselves that. So
mhm,
if I'm thinking it, I always feel like there has to be, like, it didn't just pop in my head for no reason. I'm just one of those type of people. But to now have more evidence, like I'm talking to a real person that is seeing, like, no, you can, the inner work and being able to do these things and understanding that there are self-limiting beliefs that we just kind of hover around ourselves. You used that word earlier. That we kind of keep it there and just kind of hold on to it and say like, oh, this is me, or this is how it's
mhm.
always been, or this is the way that the world works, or
Mhm.
You know, I'm just having a realization right now.
I hear. Go ahead. Go off.
No, this is I'm excited about that. Okay, so I didn't even ask you how you got into this because it seems like you really are like a person who cares and um like did you always like know that you wanted to be a therapist or how did that work? How did that happen?
So, yes, I always knew that I wanted to help. I am the oldest. On my mom's side, the oldest of four girls, and I thought I wanted to be a teacher. I had taught my sister like how to write and things like that. A little bit of reading, read her letters more so rather than a full sentence or anything. But I really enjoyed that. And that was so early on. I think it was like middle school, ninth grade, early on. That's what I knew. And I don't even think around that time we talked about like college with my parents or anything like that. But I knew, I guess in high school too, like I knew that I wanted to do more than just be a teacher because I want to help how I want to help. So early on, I also began to recognize systems. I don't do well in systems. So I knew I had to work in private practice. I didn't know how, when, whatever, but, and I actually, and I think I know, I started working towards my clinical hours once I just planned everything out. I knew I had to pass that test right away. I knew I had to get my clinical hours because I wanted my own private practice. And I think once I finished with everything, I set myself up to, I just started my private practice part time. I've been in places where sometimes I don't know about these platforms and saying things, but it is what it is, right? Hopefully to motivate someone else. These are just examples of me recognizing I don't work well in systems. It was a particular behavioral school. I was one of very few Black professionals. Um, there were uh, white professionals in that setting that actually were borderline friends, and they would drive to this town where majority of the kids were Latino or Black. So, and this was a behavioral school, so this is like whether you want to call it, I hate to call it this, but like some people call it like the bad kid school or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So, by this point, parents are frustrated or whatever, but I would give a little bit of extra care and attention to the kids on my caseload, tell parents, no, follow up, come to this meeting. No, I'm going to call you a little bit more extra than I'm supposed to. Like, I need you here. I need you to do this. And, because I could understand their frustration with the system, the child, their work schedule and things like that. But no, let's give some love and attention to these babies. Um, Whether you call me the whistleblower, but whatever, I ruffled a lot of feathers. I was not going to allow certain things, so certain kids to fall through the cracks. They didn't renew my contract. It's all good, right? Because I'm still helping to my capacity. So, like, I knew I always wanted to help. I knew I wanted to do more than what I could, and I knew I cannot work in systems. And I think that's why maybe even within my profession as a social worker, I don't necessarily think I'm struggling, but I do want to do more. So yeah, hence the wellness group. Yes, yes, yes.
Period. Okay, yeah, I was telling the 5 weeks.
Sorry,
Okay.
I want to be mindful of your time too. I'm sorry. I don't know how much time we got.
Oh yes, yes, yes. Okay, so real quick, tell them about your group. I'm going to have you. I have 3 round questions for you, 3 fast questions for you, and then have you close us out with some words of wisdom.
Oh, okay. Hold on. Okay, so the wellness group, I actually created it before the pandemic. I ran it 3 times. I ran it therapeutically, and my clients loved it. So basically, during that time, I ran it. I think one time I even ran it for 8 weeks, but I ran it 6 weeks. This time around, I'm gonna only run it 5 weeks. But it's each week we would have a discussion, a topic, and we would do a art project, or we would do an art activity and then have a discussion. Um, we explored identity, we explored feelings that you feel on the inside as compared to the outside, and that's through like paint. Like it was just beautiful. We worked on meditation and yoga and watercolor. We worked on pastels. Um, what else? Breathing exercises. We worked with bubbles with the breathing exercises. Uh, Darn it. What else did we do? But it's all about communication and how we express ourselves. The name of the group is called Express Yourself. And so um, the they just loved it. What was the turning moment for them is they would create their art piece and we would talk about the art piece, and we would talk about their intention for the art piece and what we observed within the art piece and what came up and where their awareness was as they created that art piece. It was a beautiful group. I really loved it. So I'm bringing it back, but this time it's geared a little bit more toward entrepreneurs. And once again, my my mission now is to work with entrepreneurs when it comes to preventing burnout, because I really did feel like during the pandemic I was in that space and I needed to create some balance. Entrepreneurship can be extremely isolating, so having that sense of community is also helpful. So that's what this group is. All material is mailed to them. Actually, like all it's individually packaged. It'll say like week one, everything, markers, pens, everything is included in the package. So yeah, the first group starts July the 15th, and after that is going to be rolling dates. So yes, please go check out the website, the bio. Yeah.
I love that. I love that. Okay. So I'm gonna put the link in the bio. Make sure you check it out. 5 weeks starting in July.
July 15th. Yeah.
July
15th. July
15th.
15th. It's a
Okay.
Friday at 10 in the morning.
Okay, yes. So definitely, if you want to connect, tap in the link, because if you don't catch this time, it's okay. It's going to be rolling and you're going to catch the next time. You know you need it. It's fine. And
Mhm.
as always, Legacy Leap, make sure you tap into Legacy Leap. So I would love for you to come speak. Every Thursday I do master classes in Legacy Leap, and that is just my character cultivation collective, because in order to do the work, to even get to the place to say, all right, I need to go to therapy, you got to say, all right, you have to commit, like you said, to building that work in yourself. So I
Mhm.
have Legacy Leap, link in the bio. And I just want to know, what does healing mean to you?
Healing. Ha ha ha. Well, it is a process of getting to a healthier state. How you define what healthy is for me is up to the person, and what that process looks like is up to the person. Yes. So that's real general. You know what I realized lately? Like sometimes some questions I answer too general. Um, yeah, yeah, it's a process to get into a space of being healthy.
Yes, no, I love that. Okay, what does healing finances mean to you?
Healing finances.
Hmm.
I'm laughing because finances, me and money, we got this interesting relationship. I'm building on it because I want nothing but greatness. Because you do need money to build things. I'm not gonna sit here and say I don't want no money. I want money. Um, for me, when I hear that, I think the development of like maintaining finances or maintaining. mm, I think maintaining, like being able to maintain my finances on a higher level.
Mhm. Okay. And what does healing with spirit mean to you?
Mm, mm. Healing with spirit, it means walking my path. That doesn't define it, but it means so much to me. I'm walking with my spirits, whether I call it my ancestral spirits, but I'm walking.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. That's like me in love. It's a verb. Like it's very simple, but it's so true. It's definitely walking in your purpose, whatever that looks like for
Mhm.
you. So, oh, I love this so much. This was a dope, dope, dope conversation.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for coming,
I appreciate
joining
you for
us.
asking. Yes.
We
I wish
learned
you
so
nothing but the
much.
best. Yes.
You too. You're invited back anytime. Let us know what you got going on so we can tell the people. Um, let's see. As always, I'm gonna put your thing up here. As always, make sure you subscribe, like, and connect with Kassandra. Is that all platforms?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Okay, well, Instagram, definitely,
Yes. Um.
definitely Instagram. Make sure you
Mhm,
connect. Links in the bio.
mhm.
Thank you so much again. Make sure you
Thank
all
you.
do some healing today.
Yes.
Peace and healing. We are out.